I'm going to start off by talking to you about these millions, hundreds of millions being spent rolling out cycling across the UK. I've imagined you in Lycra many times in my life, and this is
Yes.
one of those moments.
Well, thankfully, it's only in your imagination, Christo, because I don't actually own any Leica. I'm not sure they make it in my size, to be honest. But isn't it ridiculous that we are now officially unwanted as car drivers? We are now officially being told by the people that run this country that they don't care about car drivers, that we are now the lowest of the low when it comes to priority on the road, despite the fact that we pay most of the money to the road tax people, the fact that we charge ridiculous amounts of tax to people who put petrol in their cars, and we are now basically, we are without rights. We are now sort of, the majority and minority. And it absolutely winds me up incredibly that cyclists have now been told, we know you don't really like obeying the laws. Now you actually don't have to. And now you can make your own laws up as you go along. And whatever happens on the road, it won't be your fault. It'll be the guy in the car who will blame for everything.
Well, I saw a really funny tweet. I'm just going to read it from you because it does sum it up from Have I Got News for You, which don't always get it right. But they sent a tweet last night saying, cyclists to be given priority at junctions in new highway code decades after they decided they had it anyway. And that is just so true. Thing is, though, Mike, I'm not averse to a conversation being had about well thought out infrastructure and segregated lanes if they are designed in a way that isn't going to impede too much road space. Perhaps if there is a 7-metre wide pavement, perhaps they take a bit of the pavement for it. But inevitably, what they're deliberately doing, and I don't know why cyclists don't realise they're being used in this way, is that they are deliberately taking road space in order to create congestion among motorists. That's what they're doing, and that's what's so moronic.
Let's face it, Krista. I mean, cycling is for children. To own a bike is to have a toy. That's what it is.
See, I disagree with that. I own a bike. I cycle a little bit sometimes.
Well, maybe you do, but you don't really. People who identify as cyclists on Twitter go, "I'm a cyclist." You go, "Great. I'm a car driver. I don't put it on my bloody Twitter handle."
I agree
what difference does it make? I fly in planes. I don't put, I like planes. The point is that these people are fanatics and they want to drive everybody else off the road because they want to keep it all for themselves. They're mostly men. They're mostly middle-aged, and they're mostly, in some way trying to compensate for something or other. But there's hardly ever any women cycling. Do you notice you never see women cycling on the streets? It's about 1 in 10. People who go to work on bikes, and whenever it's nice weather, they're all out there, hundreds of them, and whenever it's raining, they go on the tube.
Have they closed any roads near where you are, Mike, to allow for modal shift, as they call it, active travel, low traffic neighbourhoods?
They haven't done that, but I'll tell you what they are doing in Southwark Council, which is that they are bringing in controlled parking zones. So where it used to be free to park on the street, it's now going to cost about £300 to £400 a year without being guaranteed a space. So the war on motorists continues. And, I don't really mind sharing the road, but most of these morons do mind. We've built cycle lanes at a huge cost. Half of them don't even use them, because they say, we don't like using cycle lanes because, there's bits of rubble in them. They're not properly looked after. So we cycle on the roads anyway. It's absolutely mad. It's crazy.
You're absolutely 100% correct. And what I love most about the closed roads is that you actually see people with huge 4x4s who live in them.
Yeah.
So all these people are campaigning. I mean, there was the most ridiculous thing, and did you see it earlier this week, saying, accidents have halved where they've closed roads? Well, of course they have. Because no one's allowed to drive through the roads. And Sadiq Khan and Will Norman in London and all these other councils across the UK hailing this great success. Well, I tell you what, there's a great. I'm going to put my hands around your throat, Mike, and I'm going to then declare a wonderful success at your lack of oxygen. Congratulations,
exactly.
Well done.
Yeah, exactly right. I haven't been saying much lately because my head's been forced underwater and I can't actually speak. I mean, that's the logic that they're using.
But congratulations, you've not needed very much oxygen, Mike. So well done, you.
A friend of mine who lives in West London got a ticket for driving down a road on the basis that he doesn't live there. Yeah. And they've made these residential roads now, which you can only access if you actually live there. In other parts of London where I live, you can't turn into the road you live in because you'd have to cross a cycle lane, and that is apparently now illegal.
Yeah, the thing is as well that what you'll then find, as I said, is that they've all got 4x4s in these roads, and they're all like rushing out to take Tarquin and Primrose to ballet in their little Range Rovers, and then what
Yeah,
they do is they're very happy because they all live in their little Victorian villas, and it's great because the air is lovely and clean where they're living, and then they can just drive past the poor
right.
people and pollute them
Yes,
instead.
and the thing that everybody forgets, right, is that most people in this country who talk about cycling live in cities, but outside of the city where I am currently, there is no public transport where the fag end. There's about one bus an hour that will take you somewhere you don't want to go, and that's about it. So if you want to get anywhere, you have to use a car. There is no other method. Otherwise, you're going to be cycling all bleeding day. To go to Sainsbury's, and then you won't be able to bring anything back because you can't carry 85 bags on a bike, funnily enough. So, the world is not meant for cycling. If you want to cycle, go to a velodrome, put a helmet on, put as many
Or do it
shorts
for
and
leisure.
lycra on as you like.
Sometimes
Cycle around a park.
well, no, but sometimes it is like I'm not as I've got a bike. I sometimes will get it out if it's appropriate and it's suitable for me to
I've
go
heard
somewhere
this.
local or go down to the gym that way. It's easier. But the thing is, my life is not ruled by it. And also,
No,
when I do it, I'm fine among cars. I don't need a road closed. I don't need to do it. If I need a road closed to cycle, I shouldn't be cycling because it means I'm not
exactly.
competent enough.
Exactly. I had a guy ring to my show yesterday, right? Lovely guy. Very, very big fan of talk radio. But he said, I struggle because I take my children out on a road, but there are cars passing me at 60 miles an hour. I'm going, well, what are you taking your kids out on the road for? You're an irresponsible parent. You shouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't put my children at risk
Absolutely.
of getting run over by somebody on a 60-mile-an-hour road. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. I read something on Twitter the other day. I was telling Emily Carver this, saying that someone said, do you know what? We are instilling in children that roads are dangerous and it's wrong. No, it's not. Of course roads are
Yeah,
dangerous. I don't want a
of
child
course
to
they are.
wander into the road not knowing it's dangerous.
Right.
Of
And I mean,
course.
let's not forget that the people who get injured the most on the roads because they have collisions with cars are cyclists. But what we've done now with this highway code is create a charter for cyclists. And there are some guerrilla cyclists out there that you and I both know
Yes.
who will deliberately cause an accident in order to get some kind of compensation. What's worse, of course, is they've now given pedestrians the right to step out in front of a car anywhere and expect them to stop for them.
But I think that the pedestrians should be bowing down and kissing drivers' feet for the amount of times that we save their lives. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
amazed daily in our big cities that there aren't more pedestrians killed, frankly, because there are so many that seem to want to throw themselves onto the feet of your
Yeah.
car whilst on their iPhone. And the amount of times that I've saved their lives by slamming my brakes on, honestly, and then you get an indignant look as if to say, well, how dare you be here? And now
Yes.
the government have just legalised that. The government have now legalised
Exactly.
pedestrians saying to us, how dare you? How dare you suggest that a road is for cars? It's just, I don't understand what's happening.